Sometimes it's hard to be a Bruin. Giving all your love to just one team.
Well, that was tough. So, it's late. Hello, welcome to What's Bruin. I'm your host, Jake Merrifield. And this will be a short, sweet, sad podcast about a team that just can't score any points. Got our hopes up a little bit, but at the end of the day, lose a game they should have won against crosstown rivals, USC. This game is ultimately so depressing because it wastes Jamaal Sturtevant's probably best game as a Bruin, really. I can't think of last year with his with the Dante Moore games, but certainly this year it's the first game he actually had a pulse. A terrific game by T.J. Harden. He did not deserve to lose this game. He did not deserve to not get 100 yards in this game. Averaged 7 yards per carry with a long of 40. Ethan Garbers didn't really deserve to lose this game either, but he had two chances at the end of the game and came up with, 0 points and basically 0 yards. And that's really how this game went. USC, you can't say they dominated the first half. You really can't. They had more scoring opportunities, but UCLA was like moving the ball every bit as much. But UCLA would move the ball from like the 20 to midfield and couldn't get past midfield, and SC would end up kind of in the end zone. They had a couple, or in the red zone, and they had a couple of chances. And the UCLA defense just played so well in that regard, and really held the Trojans off the scoreboard. So even though it wasn't a game in which the Trojans dominated the first half, they certainly could have and should have probably been up 21-3, right? And this game shouldn't even been close, going into the second half, especially when you think about how the Trojans got the ball at the end of the half, scored, could have been a touchdown, but it wasn't, thankfully, and then come out with the ball in the second half. But the Bruins seized control of it in the third quarter and scored 10 points. They probably could have scored 14. And they have controlled the game with that wonderful score of 13-9. But I just had a feeling it was not going to hold. That score was not going to hold. But the Bruins needed some more points in this game. And at the end of the day, that is the absolute failure of this season. It's the offense, and the offense today moved the ball plenty. 265 yards through the air, 111 on the ground. That outgained the Trojans in both respects. But the Trojans made the big plays. This offense is not the same offense that was absolutely DOA through the first 5 games, right? They have done something, but it ends up not being productive at all. And 13 points is not going to win you most games. There's just no two ways about it. It's just not going to cut it. So that's really where the Bruins are at now. So I don't know what it is. Now it's 2 Rose Bowl crosstown showdowns in a row where the Bruins have had the ball with a chance to win. This time 2 chances to win, to drive, and come up with nothing. I don't know if you want to look at how many times the Bruins have scored 13 points this season against Indiana, against Oregon, not even that, against Penn State, 11, and now against SC. How many times have the Bruins been under 20 points? Let's see, against Hawaii, yes. Against Indiana, yes. Against LSU, yes. Against Oregon, yes. Against Penn State, yes. Against Minnesota, yes. Right? And now against Washington and against SC. The Bruins have eclipsed the 20-point mark exactly 3 times this entire season. And that's an offense that's not going to get it done, even if it looks better than it did at the beginning. And even if they're getting better performances, it's just, that's just makes it so difficult for you to win a game. I was a little surprised that the Trojans were able to handle the Bruins' defensive line as well as they did, but still the Bruin defense did more than enough in this game. And the only thing they failed to do was getting Jaden Maeva to the ground, and that was disappointing. There was a couple plays that he made down the stretch that, he was dead to rights a couple times, and he made it work. But really, the key play was the dumb trick play, and it was like what team was going to execute something cool. I guess it was going to be the winner of the game, and in this round that goes to the Trojans. So super depressing. and I don't really have too much more to say about it. I'm going to play sometimes hard to be a Bruin again and, call it a day, looking down the rest of the season. It's just one game, Fresno State, and the Bruins have a chance to finish the season with 5 wins, which is not nothing. It's above what a lot of the expectation was for a lot of the pundits out there, but certainly it's a season in which you're saying that this is not the way it should have gone. This is not the way it should be, and it certainly shouldn't make anybody happy. And then, like the winning the SC game is something could have given them a nice little buzz, and then, allowed them to keep seeking a bowl victory, right? Or getting in the bowl game. Now they're going to play this dumb game against Fresno State, an opponent no one wants to see. No one will be at the Rose Bowl other than, stupid Fresno State fans. And it's just going to be just a whimper and a gasp to end the season. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could have a nice performance there and finish strong, but the only people that will be excited about that are us that pay close attention, and the only people paying close attention is a very small group of actual Bruin fans, and everybody else is going to tune out. So I don't know. That's where I'm feeling now. Maybe I'll feel differently on whenever we do this show Tuesday. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to be Bruin.
Sometimes it's hard to be a Bruin. Giving all your love to just one team.
So that's all I'm doing. I had fun. I took Malcolm to the game, and we had a good time. We left at the exact perfect moment, which was right when the last positive Bruin play happened, and we were in Burbank by the time the game ended, which ended up being a good decision. It started raining. I don't know if it started raining at the Rose Bowl or whatever, but, we had a fun time until we didn't. It was great to see some of you fans out there, Nancy and Leo and a couple other people that said hi to me. I really appreciate that. And one guy complimented Malcolm on his jacket, and so that was fun. He was wearing some cool jacket off the internet, and there was a wonderful group of folks that were just one big family that they had like 25 seats or something, and they were taking up most of the section we were in. And then I had obviously there was a lot of people there that wanted to say hi they didn't get to because the Rose Bowl was so crowded today. It filled up other than the tarps pretty well. So, but it was weird. It was not a typical, USC, UCLA crowd in that. It was more friendly, which was nice. I only saw a couple dirtbag Trojans get kicked out of the game for bad behavior, and only one Trojan had to get escorted out for vomiting in their seat. So that part was great. But I also wasn't there at the very bitter end when I'm sure it got a little bit petty. But I'm interested to see, or maybe I'm not interested to see if there are any shenanigans after the game. But I don't know. This is seriously, certainly the shortest postcast I'll ever do, but this is what happens when you get a terrible, dreadful loss to SC on a night game. And, it is what it is. So, one more time, and I guess we'll see you Tuesday.
Sometimes it's hard to be a Bruin. Giving all your love to just one team. This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
All right, so I'll bring Mike on, and Mike, I do want to get your thoughts on the stupid football game that happened over the weekend. We were both there, but before we do that, let's talk about the fun thing, the nice thing that people want to talk about, and that is the big UCLA women's basketball game. And I have a call to play here just to get us started on the talk for that. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it, but I know you're going to have lots of thoughts about that. Before I play the call, Mike, were you at the game?
I was. It was crazy because usually, women's basketball doesn't garner much attention, but it has in the last 2 years. I remember, was it 2-3 years ago, the first time I went to to cover a women's basketball game? I was right on the sideline, literally. There was one point, I think it was, I forget who it was, maybe Cameron Brown, who had a pass and the receiving player missed it. And it came right bouncing towards my computer. I slammed it down and pushed the ball away. I was
nice.
like, oh, shit, I am right up there. And then last year, they moved the media area tables to right behind the east basket. And so I go there today on Sunday, and I don't see my name. I'm like, is there another spot? And they're like, yeah, you're way up there where you usually are. I'm like, oh, but also, oh, cool, because that shows that there's there was a lot of media. There was a lot of South Carolina players, and it was really packed. Like, it said sold out, but there was still like in like the corners and like the sides, the end zones, I guess, if you will, of Poly Pavilion. But it was packed and it was loud, and holy crap! So that atmosphere was pretty intense to begin with. But
okay, so before you go on, let me play the first call we got. We had 2 calls about the basketball game, kind of 2.5. But here's the first one.
Hi, Jake, Mike, Jamaal, and Bill. This is Nancy, and you had better spend some sweet time on this incredible victory today. Last night was bleh. Today was unbelievable. We took down number 1 South Carolina in a very convincing way. And I would sure like to hear more discussion and more promotion of women's basketball, because face it, boys, the girls are going for the national championship. So talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Nancy. So, Mike, that's the first call we have about. I'll play one again in a minute. But so let's get to the actual game on Sunday. What'd you think?
Stunned, really. Excuse me. I didn't think UCLA would rout them. I honestly didn't. I thought it would be a good game. I would hope that they would win because they match up well. South Carolina lost a huge player in Camila Cardoso last year, first round WNBA selection. Was she first? I can't remember offhand, but she was definitely in the top 5. I think she was first. But they reload, and Don Staley is an outstanding basketball coach, but the way that UCLA's defense shut them out for the first 5 minutes of the game, they missed their first 9 shots, and UCLA didn't exactly light the world on fire at that point, but they just slowly pulled away.
Right. Well, and they were up by 20 the entire game, pretty much, after that big run in the first quarter.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then South Carolina had their own pretty substantial run to start the second half. They had like a 7-2 run, and at that point, Corey Close was like, "No, timeout. No, slow this down." And at that point, again, just I think they were down by 16 at that point. And then UCLA just pushed it back up to 20. It's kind of inevitable. You're going to see this a lot. Teams trying to double Lauren Betts, and she had a hard time getting points, but she eventually scored her 11th point with a minute and a half left. Got her 4th double-double in 5 games. She already had 14 rebounds to go with 4 assists, and that's her on a bad night. And it wasn't because she just couldn't get anything, just was taking bad shots. It's just that they were hounding her. But luckily, and this is one thing that I thought UCLA needed last year, was outside shooting. And London Jones, I was very close to asking her in postgame, "Hey, do your hands hurt? Because your hands were on fire out there." She went 5 for 5, 15 points in the game. Who else? I think 2 other players that scored in double digits. Just an incredible game. Alina Aronsalo, freshman, although she did play with a like semi-pro team last year in Finland, so she is seasoned. She's not just your average first year point guard coming in and not looking, not knowing, understanding the game. No, she understood it because she had to. She was forced to, because Kiki Rice finally played. This was her first full game of the season, and I think she ended up with 11 points too. So just the fact that this whole team was clicking, and it was weird because I thought that they could do better too. It just seemed like offensively they could gel a little bit better. But yeah, even Don Staley after the game said that UCLA's defense was relentless. They were just getting in passing lanes. They were ripping balls away, trying to get steals, blocks, rebounds. I was like, they're doing this against the number one team in the country? Damn.
Well, not just the number one team in the country, Mike, a team that won 43 straight freaking games, bro.
Yeah. Yep. So like just freaking impressive. And, I put it out there on Twitter. I'm like, they beat the number one team handily. If they don't get the number one ranking in the nation, something's wrong. But news comes out Monday morning. They are now the number one team in the nation. First time ever. Last year was the first time UCLA ever got their highest ranking, which was number 2. They held on to that for 8 weeks. And now they've just topped themselves.
Go Bruin.
Go Bruin!
Go Bruin.
I'm happy that UCLA won.
I was actively rooting for UCLA today, and it makes me feel dirty.
Go Bruins!
I like UCLA to win the game.
UCLA! UCLA! Fight!
All right, Mike, continue.
And this is also the first time that UCLA has defeated a number one program, a number one team in program history. And now they are the number one team, highest ranking in program history themselves. Just a fantastic series of events. Last year they had their highest ranking ever in the AP at number 2. They held that for 8 weeks before they unfortunately lost in conference play. But they've just topped themselves now. So, wow, what an introduction to the Big Ten! What an introduction to the season! It was weird because I thought they were a little underrated at number 5, but hey, that's still a pretty damn good team. I'm not going to cherry pick about that.
Sure.
But you have South Carolina going down. You have number 3 USC going down to, I think, was number 6 Notre Dame. They basically switched spots, and it kind of righted the ship in my opinion. I mean, USC is still damn good, but I just, and all these people are picking USC, even Snoop Dogg, simply because of Juju Watkins and Kiki Irrefant, and their coach is Gottlieb is pretty badass. But it just seemed like they have they need a few extra elements themselves. But UCLA, holy crap, I think they are stacked and are deep in not just every position, but necessary roles like shot blocker, 3-point shooter, facilitator. Like, there are so many players that can do multiple that can have multiple roles. It's insane. Anyway, Jake, you have another call? Roll tape.
Let's go.
Hey guys, calling after the only SC game I care about, UCLA women's basketball beating up on number 1 South Carolina. I mean, props to Corey Close. 1, getting South Carolina to come to LA at all is incredible. And then 2, for actually closing the deal and closing it convincing. Great win for the fans, the students that got to go see that game for free. We're now going to know that they have a really good women's basketball team on campus. This is all around a great win for Corey Close. The finisher, obviously, nails. Bets, obviously, loves to get her younger brother on the men's team at some point. But yeah, just nothing but high praise for work Corey Close has done over the past however many years assembling this team. It looks really prepped for a great run. We're women's basketball school now, guys. No other sports need to apply. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
So, Mike, what'd you think about that?
Aaron Solo's just Just an amazing human being. That is, she's supposed to be the third string point guard, Jake. She was thrust into this position because Kiki was injured. We don't know what's happening with Washington State transfer Charlize Leisure Walker, who was at least going to be the backup point guard / two guard. But in this game, Kiki and Alina started the game together. Pretty brilliant move. Good ball handlers. The ball protection was on top of its game, and yeah, just their defense is just insane. Like they had 4 or 5 blocks, but the way that they did it, it wasn't just like they tipped it. It was like they got in their face or they ripped it out of their hands in midair. Just a freaking fantastic game, and I still got to find this out. They will defend their number 1 ranking this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, playing in Hawaii. But it so far does not look like it's on TV, which is an injustice. If the number 1 team in the nation can't be seen on TV, especially after this, like let's say people missed. I don't know how they did, but missed UCLA and South Carolina. They're like, oh, who's this UCLA team? They can't freaking watch them. Anyway, I also had a rant about how the UCLA women's basketball games should be on the radio. So, chop chop AM 570. Just saying.
That's fine, Mike. But like, I know you're going to listen to it, but like, is there any evidence to show that it would be worth 570's time to put it on the air at this point? Like, I know it's getting more popular, but like,
Jake, you know what's
getting less popular.
Jake, you know what's on ESPN radio?
What?
USC women's basketball.
Is it?
Come on, Jake.
Okay,
yes,
well, I'd be curious to know I'm curious to know what their ratings are.
I was also going to say this too. I started doing the post-game chats, so there was some interest in there. I'm not saying I'm a gauge for that, but the fact that people not only wanted to listen in, but actually chatted with me was that was pretty good, because everybody gets a chance to hear get a replay and talk with someone, or hear post game commentary as you would like any team's post game radio spot. I will tell you this, like as far as whether or not 570 want to cover it, because obviously they're trying to generate ad dollars, and I don't know as popular as UCLA women's basketball will ever be. I don't know if it's a thing, but there's absolutely no excuse for the university, who has their own broadcasters, to not stream a broadcast of it that you could listen to or watch on every single game. Why wouldn't you do that? Like, I totally agree with you in that regard. Yeah, that's weird. That is weird. I mean, I was going to, I forgot to do it today. I just got busy. Goddamn, Thanksgiving week just came upon us, and now all of a sudden I had to do everything all at once. But no, I was going to contact the SID, say, ask if there's a, stream, a link. I haven't seen anything yet, but Mike Regalado doing that would be that would be an injustice. Oh, hell's yeah, baby. Let's do the bro broadcast. Hi, bro. The Mike cast. Oh, anyway, I mean, I was tweeting up a storm and blue skying up a storm. What are those called? Skeets? No idea. I don't think that's a good name. It's not a good name. That's why everyone was like, that's why don't call it that. No, that was the thing with blue sky. Now, especially Jake, you got to get on the blue sky. Our homie James Williams is on there. I'm on there. We're trying to get more UCLA people, Jake. So if you're not, Mr. Rosenfeld is on there. So yeah, we're trying to grow that community. But yeah, stay on target. Just a fantastic game. And did you see it? Did you at least see the highlights? Yeah, I did, and it was fun to watch. And I was just a couple. Yeah, so let's get back to the game, and I want to ask you a couple big picture questions about it before we shut it down on this. But the number one with the game is, like, I was just shocked. You're talking about a team that won 43 straight games, right? And they just pretty much got blown off the floor. They made a couple runs, but after the first few minutes, they were never closer than 15 or 16 or something, right? I mean, I think that's accurate. And if the Gamecocks hadn't have shot really well from the 3-point line, they didn't take a ton of threes, but they only took like 12, but they made 8 of them. If they shoot a normal percentage from the 3-point line, this game is even more out of whack, right? I know it finishes at 15 points. I mean, but
with 3-point luck, it finished at 15 points. It really should have finished at probably 20 to 25. And then the other part of it that I was just like, UCLA shot so well from the field, almost 50%, and they did have more turnovers, but like they out-rebounded South Carolina, and so it just really was. And by the way, they
points
shot
in the paint, more.
They lit it up from 3 too.
Yeah.
They just were not quite as on fire as South Carolina, but still 47.6%. They shot better on the 3-point line than the field goal line. That's insane.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I think London Jones and I think Janiah Barker did the same thing earlier in the year. She was both were 100% from the field goal, from the 3-point line. They were 0 for 2 from inside the 3-point line.
Yeah. and they out assisted them. They out fast breaked them. They out points them painted them, right? I mean, everything was in the Bruins' favor basically, except for just a couple
rebounds, steals, blocks. I think most of it. Yeah.
So I was thinking about go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just domination. It was good to see, and it was kind of a relief because you kind of felt like this is what Corey Close has been trying to do. This is really cool. It's finally here. We get to see all of our hard work, and it's paying off with just some badass basketball wizardry.
Well, yeah, and the other thing, just from the South Carolina perspective, obviously they are an absolutely proud program and they have a lot to be proud of. And this, in no way, shape, or form, diminishes their season goals or anything. It's just one game, a few games into the season, right? So they are still a giant monolith of a program out there that UCLA will probably have to take on again if they do want to go to the national title game or win the national title. I'm sure it will, in some way, shape, or form, go through South Carolina. But with that being said, South Carolina had a 43-game win streak broken in this game, and it was one shy of being half of what men's basketball did, in the 60s, 70s, or whatever. I think it would have been started in the 70s and in the 70s.
Well, I think also you.
But before in that game, Notre Dame had to play their ass off, and UCLA had to, not play well to lose by 1 point in a game. In that game, that's what's so striking about this is you wouldn't expect a team with that many that strung together that many wins in a row to just get boat raced. But I mean, occasionally that happens.
Yeah. And you bring that up, and even though that's an insane feat, that's still not, who was it? I think UConn beat that a few years ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look for it now. 111 games. That's insane. Freaking hell.
That speaks to how women's basketball is not yet at the parity level of the other major sports. Is probably on par with where men's basketball was in the 60s and 70s, where a couple programs really, really dominated, and then, and it went from there. And that's kind of still, we're transitioning from that in women's basketball as more and more athletes that are ready to go kind of make their way to all these different institutions, right? And more attention is being funneled into women's basketball. There's more opportunity for more teams to shine. So, I mean, that's all good, but I think we're still in that stage of growth. That's why you have these ginormous streaks still, and now you're seeing these streaks kind of get shorter and shorter.
Yeah, and there still is, like, you still have the, UConn, Gino Oriyama. He just took down Coach Tara from Stanford. She had the record, I believe it was last year, and Gino just beat the all-time winning. Now has the all-time winningest record. So teams like that, Stanford, UConn, Baylor to an extent, LSU, South Carolina, they have been on top of their game. And now UCLA was trying to crack that, and now it seems like they're in that mix. USC did it a lot quicker, but they are in that mix. There's just a lot of really good basketball. And, like, holy crap, dude, it is just garnering so much attention. Like, I kind of, made fun of Snoop Dogg. I'm like, hey, you picked the wrong team. But, he had a pretty badass Christmas sweater that said Watkins on the back when he was at the USC women's basketball game. But, hey, Ted Lasso was at our game, so there's that.
Oh, that's fun. So, Mikey...
I said that's a better poll. So,
yeah, depending on what you're a fan of, right? I mean, certainly. So, Mike, with this being said, so they got the big win. They have the number 1 ranking. Now they have to go through the rest of the season, the Big Ten season, all that stuff, probably, and some more out of non-conference, major opponents and all that stuff. How much do you think this game was representative of how well they will play the rest of the season, in your opinion?
Oh, I think this. I think this is who they are. I cross fingers, no injuries, no significant injuries. But this is what we saw on Sunday was a team that just absolutely dominated a really good team. It was both shocking and not, because like I said, UCLA fans that have been fans of Corey Close know that this is kind of what she's been going to, the direction she's been heading. So for this to all come together and just be complete dominance, because that's also been the frustrating thing. She's won what I think there have only been 10 seasons where UCLA women's basketball has won 20 games or more. Or is it 25? God, I should have this stat down. Anyway, 7 of those Corey Close is responsible for. So she has had some success. She's just run into unfortunate circumstances, because in the Pac-12, that conference was the most dominant conference in women's basketball for a decade. And you have Stanford and Oregon and Washington States and Oregon States and all these teams all of a sudden becoming really freaking good. And UCLA was good. They just had to battle with all of that. And they unfortunately, I think at best, they were 3rd last year in the Pac-12. So they're up there. Like if they were in any other conference, they would probably have a conference championship by now. But now this is a different team. They are just stacked. God, I hope Lauren Betts stays healthy the entire season. And because that was one of the big things. They needed a big. They got Lauren Betts. Her sister Sienna is coming in next year. Awesome. Barker Barker and Gardner are looking really good at the forward spot. And the problem last year was mostly like outside shooting. And now if London Jones stays hot, they bring in Arensalo, Gardner, and Barker. All of them are really good from the outside. And then you have just muscle players like Jaquez and Dugalich. It's a really, really good roster. I'm not trying to like be, pump them up, but
yeah, that's
damn,
all.
Jake.
Oh, that's great, Mike. What we had looked at the last couple of seasons is 2 years ago they were looking really good, and then they dropped like 3 in a row, and they dropped like I want to say like 4 out of like 6 or 7 or something like that. And then and this is in the middle of the season. And then last season, and you talked about how good the Pac-12 was and all that, but last season they went like 500 over like a 6 or 7 or 8 game stretch in the middle of the season, and it cost them.
That's
the
when Betts was injured.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. But so I was just wondering what your gauge was on like what expectations for this team should be. Like last year, we were expecting to be a very high NCAA seed, and they were, and they ended up losing in the tournament to LSU, I want to say. That game wasn't the most flattering, wonderful representation of UCLA women's basketball, I don't think. But, they've been edging closer, like you said, and maybe this is the year they do get the breakthrough. At the very least, this is another, rung up the ladder by saying that they finally beat South Carolina. They finally get the number 1 ranking, even if it's early in the season. So that's all exciting. Mike, you have to live tweet a game in like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, but I'll be cool.
You will be? Okay. So anyway, so let's transition here. Women's basketball, we're all thrilled, super pumped about that for sure. Yay. Go Bruins, all that stuff. But let's get to the horrible, terrible, stupid football game that happened this last week.
Go Bruins!
And that is UCLA's loss. Those stupid Trojans. The other SC.
Yeah, did you see my video of Deshaun Foster at the end of the game? That was okay. Not the game that was, but practice on Monday.
No, Mike. I'm
Check
boycotting
out.
everything. I hate everything all the time. Everybody can go away. I just want to be done.
He gave props to the to Corey and the women's team for their victory.
Well,
so,
fine. Before I play Sometimes Hard, Mike, let me ask you right now. Okay, you have to make a choice. What would you have rather had over the weekend? A victory over
women's
SC
basketball
football, or a victory over South Carolina SC?
South Carolina.
And why?
Victory over South Carolina.
And why?
Because both the football teams are. Nobody's going to remember this. It was It was a boring game. It was sloppy. It was horrible. It was like probably one of the I'm not trying to be mean, but it was probably one of the worst football games I've ever seen, just on both sides. It was just
It's a pretty bad game.
Yeah, it was hard to watch. There was no action. Neither team could do anything, until late where, USC, they didn't necessarily get lucky, but UCLA also didn't necessarily pull its weight. Anyway, we'll get into it. But, definitely the women's basketball.
Pumpy.
Yeah, no, I completely
F
disagree.
you, buddy.
I completely disagree, but that's okay. And it's only because, like, the women's basketball, I'm happy for them. That's great. But literally, it has no impact on the rest of my year. Zero impact. Whereas now, every time I see some a-hole Trojan, it like this game, like even a bad UCLA team being a
Jake,
bad SC team.
No, Jake. No, you know what? Let me push back a little because our man, Brian Fenley exactly that guy at the end of the game, he did the post-game talk and he goes, well, it's a bad loss, but how do you talk to your friends who are you're getting in your face about this? And it was like I had the same thoughts before he said it. I'm like, first off, this was a bad team. A bad team beat a bad team, and it honestly could have gone either way. Secondly, they were in the top 25. They're nowhere near that anymore. So it was like, oh yeah, you beat UCLA in a game that nobody's going to remember. Yeah. So anyway, that's our boy Brian Fenley and Jake. Yes,
Bruin Doomsday fans getting humiliated, and you know what? I'm not feeling sorry for them.
I'm not feeling sorry. I thought of that drop as I was going up onto Fair Oaks when I was leaving the Rose Bowl.
UCLA football cynics.
Yeah. Our guy, Mike.
But yeah, that's why it's a throwaway game. Oh, what? USC goes to a bowl game? What? They're going to San Antonio? They're going to El Paso? Have fun, jerks. No, I'm just kidding. I actually kind of would be down for a bowl game. But yeah, the number one seeding,
the perception of this football team. If UCLA loses to South Carolina at home, it absolutely doesn't change the perception of the basketball. Like, obviously, this is a launching point.
Okay,
but it doesn't make people go, "Oh, this UCLA basketball women's basketball team, they're in trouble." Oh, no, it's like they lost to freaking South Carolina and they won the 44th straight game. For this game, for the UCLA football season, it was so much more meaningful for anything going forward. It is, because now instead of just being an abject failure and going like 1-11 or whatever, and then you can just like, oh gosh,
Jake, they're paying.
Or instead of them, actually finishing strong and rallying and going to a bowl game, now it's just solidly in the, well, I guess they're around where people picked them to be, and I guess we can label it as a building year, and I guess we'll just bring back the same cast of characters, including that freaking charlatan Eric Bieniemy, and I guess we'll just continue keeping it mediocre, boys, and then like the Carl Durrell minus era. That's exactly where we're at right now, and it's very frustrating. So if they would have beat SC, you could make the argument that they get the chance to go to the bowl game. You can make the argument that will give them a little bit. That certainly would have given them a lot more steam with any sort of raising money and all that stuff. Now it's like this is the last thing that we are looking at for this season, because God help me, no one's going to watch the Bruins win or lose to the Bulldogs. I mean, there's going to be like 40 people there, and they're all going to be wearing red and barking like animals. So, in my humble opinion, and by the way, gee whiz, I'm always football first, so go, so blame me, but I would much rather seeing the Trojans get beat there than the Gamecocks get beat on the next day. But that's just me, and reasonable minds can differ. And I completely buy your argument, by the way. I completely do, but that's the way I am geared.
Well, just to add to it, I don't think it adds to it. I mean, honestly, this game could have gone either way. It's just that UCLA did not play a good game. It's just it kind of like they regressed. They won 3 games, and now these last 2 look like the beginning of the season.
Well, in what way, though, Mike? Let's start with that, because their defense played one of its better games of the season. Their offense generated a 100-yard rusher, just 2 yards short of a 100-yard rusher, and it was a guy who's played his second decent game of the season. It was actually a very good game. He averaged fucking 7 yards per carry. They finally found their number 1A NFL receiver. They threw to him for the first time this goddamn year, 5 receptions, 117 yards, Michael Sturdivant, and they can't get him into the end zone. And they have a quarterback that throws for 9 yards an attempt, but because of the way they call the game, they cannot get them past midfield in the first half, and they can't get them, into the end zone in the second half, barely. And then they can't even manage to get a first down on their last 11 offensive plays. That's absolutely disgraceful, and it goes down to the coaching of this, not the, we believed in the players and the performers that they have. They have guys that could do stuff, and this offense completely let them down. You say they didn't play well. Well, the defense played pretty damn well, and the offense generated a lot of activity, but they couldn't finish because, they run an overcomplicated offense that can't manage to score. Great job. You built an offense that burns a lot of time and scores very few points. It's amazing creation.
Oh yeah, God! At halftime, I was like, I wonder what the points per play is going to be for this game, let alone the season, because it's like, no, you're right. They were getting good. The passing game was decent. The run game was, pretty decent. They just again can't get into the freaking end zone. Only 13 points. That's insane, especially when you have Sturdivant using his body for science in this way, just tossing it around, and making some highlight plays. But you can only get in the freaking end zone. You can only get 13 points. And then, I understand. The defense did play well. It has played well all season long. Keke Molloy has been, yes, he's one of 65, but the fact that he's in the conversation for the Broyles Award, the award given to the top assistant in the nation, says a lot. And we've been saying that because this is kind of like, this has been the only constant good on this team. It is the offense that has not been anything really.
I don't want to hear anything about anybody being up for any award on this team because none of them. I don't want.
No, they do.
Any goddamn
they deserve
award.
it.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. They absolutely don't.
Schlesinger does it. Schlesinger has worked his ass off, Jake.
Except for him.
We will not. We will not. We will not have
mainly. I'm talking about the
nominations.
I'm talking about the coaches, buddy. No, I'm talking about the coaches. Like even at Keke Molloy, like I thought he played. Did well with what he had, but I'm not in the mood for that shit. Anyways, Mike. So, with this game,
we're here to bring. It's a Christmas season, Jake. We're here to bring good cheer
Mike,
and
it's not even Thanksgiving, Mike.
Women and men.
It's not even Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was Christmas like a month ago with my kids. I can't stop it. I thought I could. They have overtaken my emotions and my so there's that.
Mike, UCLA ends up finishing, somewhere in the neighborhood of 15th in the conference. Depending on how the last couple of games go this week, conference games. They're going to play a absolutely meaningless game to Fresno State this weekend. They now, and this kind of goes back to where I was thinking about the awards. Like there are some really, honestly, I mean, Mike, as much as we like Kay Madrano and Jay Toya and all, like I would say Jay Toya and Schlesinger should be up for some sort of award, not to get into that talk deeply or whatever. And everybody else is kind of like, okay, whatever. But UCLA, there's 14 Big Ten teams that could be bowl eligible by the end of the weekend. UCLA isn't going to be one of them. And they pretty much fall right into where pretty much all the predictions kind of pegged them. And that's a very frustrating way to end, considering they started by completely submarining their season, starting with the terrible offense and all that stuff. And then they had this nice little bright spot, and then it's just they couldn't finish at all, and that's just kind of brutal, man. So we're going to do a more of a wrap up on the football season as a whole once the football season is done, right? So after Fresno State, we're probably, I don't know, right now we'll just breaking news to you even. I don't know how much I'm going to be into doing a podcast next week or the week after. We'll probably skip one of those weeks, FYI. Maybe do, every other week or something going into the bowl season, except for if you want to do some basketball stuff, Mike. But we'll do a football season retrospective after they actually play Fresno State. But do you have anything else to say about this SC game before we get to this miserable Fresno State game?
No. No, it was deflating.
Okay, well then let's just play Sometimes Hard to Be a Bruin, and we'll get to the next thing.
Sometimes Sometimes it's hard to be a Bruin. Giving all your love to just one team.
Sometimes it's pretty hard. And yeah, if you didn't listen to my very janky postcast that I did, it was only 9 minutes long. It's the first time all season I just kind of literally phoned it in, on that, not quite literally, but I got home from the game and then I was working on something else. And then I went to sleep at 2 and then I was like, I'll record in the morning.
So did
and I
I.
actually had a really good idea for what I wanted to do, how I wanted to frame it. I was actually going to do a spoken word. Or I was going to, because on YouTube, on YouTube you can't, play something with, that's copyrighted or whatever. But on Apple, we no problem with that. So I was going to match the game to a Lana Del Rey song and then do spoken word for the YouTube and go from there.
Dear God.
Something like, good God, we tried, something around that motif. But that's pretty much the story of the UCLA season. Good God, we tried. That's about it. That's about all you can say for it. But I ended up waking up at 3, or I never went to sleep. I laid down at 2, couldn't sleep for about 45 minutes. And I said, well, fuck it. I just want to get this thing over with. So then I walked out, and that 9 minutes of sadness was recorded at 3 a.m. on Saturday evening. And then I put
that
it to
is
bed.
dedication,
I was done with it. So I apologize for the lack of, whatever. But with that being said, let's let me transition to the game that will be, which is this silly game against Fresno State.
It's the game that will be. It's the game that will be, yo. It's the game that will be.
So UCLA is going to be on the Big Ten Network. What a surprise! On Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Gee whiz, I wish we would have got a 12:30 p.m. for the Trojan game. That would have been nice. But no, it's the
that would have been cool.
6-5 Fresno State Bulldogs taking on the 4-7 UCLA Bruins. Right now, UCLA is a 73% chance of victory according to the ESPN win predictor, and they are an 8-point favorite against Fresno State. But should they be taking the Bulldogs lightly, Mike? What do you think?
No.
Do they have the ability to take any team lightly? No, especially on a team that the Bruins have literally they've lost 4 in a row to these guys. So
UCLA
impressive.
owns the series 6-4, but it's unfortunate that those 4 Fresno State wins have been in a row.
It's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
They're the last 4 games.
The Bruins started 6-0 against Fresno State, and then now since the Silicon Valley Classic, I think that's which one that was. That's the one where Bill and Suzanne almost got a divorce before. I think they were married by then.
Before being married,
they almost got a divorce before they got married. It was the most miserable game. I was there with Trojan Dave, and it was terrible. Trojan Dave brings negative energy to everything he does. That son of a bitch, you're the devil, Dave. Anyways, it was just a miserable time up there. I got barked at. I was not having a good time, and the Bruins lose that game 17-9, and absolutely miserable, one of the most miserable bowl games that could happen on December 30th, 2003. Then I don't remember this game too well, Mike. Do you remember the Bruins losing to Fresno State in 2008 at all? Do you have any recollection of that game at all?
I was trying. I don't.
Let me try to.
I remember the first Chip Kelly Fresno State game, and that was like, why?
Yeah, this happened. It was the 4th game of the season. I'm going to look. Oh, this is a Kevin Kraft game, and there's no real story on it, but it looks like, Fresno State has a punt return to start the game in the first, in the first seconds, and it goes from there. And I don't really. The quarterback for Fresno State was Brandstatter. Who the hell knows who that is? Kevin Kraft and Coleman were the
I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that game at all. I don't know what's wrong with me
at all.
So then in 2018 we get the 38-14 just beat down of the Bruins. That was that the Rose Bowl? Yeah, all these are at the Rose Bowl, by the way. So just 3 embarrassing losses at the Rose Bowl and that bowl game. Do you remember that game at all, Mikey?
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
Barely.
That was a Chip Kelly game. That was Chip Kelly's first season. It was first season, and we're in the midst of the 0-5 doomsday stretch.
Yeah.
right? And the Bruins just got smoked in that game unexpectedly after getting smoked by Oklahoma, right? And that's just not a great way to.
That's I do remember hey, we were going to lose to Oklahoma because this is Chip Kelly's first season. They put some effort into that Oklahoma game, and then they went in against Fresno State, and it was just like, oh man, this team is not good at all. Just getting beat on every front, and I just remember the end of it going, this is the loss against Oklahoma State didn't make me think this, but the loss to Fresno State made me think, oh, this is going to take way longer than a season or half a season. And I was right. It
right about the time when everybody was like
4 years.
It didn't have to be this way. Who was the leading receiver in the 38-14 beatdown of UCLA at the Rose Bowl for the Bruins that game? Mike, tell me who the leading receiver was. Chip Kelly's first year.
Logan Loya?
No, he wasn't there back then.
Yeah, he was. No, he wasn't. You're right. He was in that first class. He was in the next season. Yep. Oh God, I don't even know.
Theo Howard,
someone that had this
4 for 80.
Oh wow,
and a touchdown. On the other side, it was the other Keyshawn Johnson that tore the Bruins up for 8 receptions for 85 yards. And then DTR in that game led the team in rushing with 49 freaking yards. And then he was 10 for 24. 10 for 24. Let me say that again. 10 for 24 with 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Right. So that's how fun that goddamn game was. And then the last time the Bruins played these Fresno State Bulldogs, gee whiz, what fun, was of course the game that, kind of the Bruin fans got super excited. Where's my Boeing Spring? Right here. After the Bruins come out and beat LSU in 2021? Was this 2021? Yeah, they beat LSU 38-27. Right, huge game. We take Keyshawn Boutte. What's his name? Keyshawn, whoever Boutte's first name is. We bottle him up, make him throw a tantrum, and the Bruins have that huge win at the Rose Bowl. And we're like, here it is. The Chip Kelly era is finally started. It's finally started. And to be fair, this was a decent season, but it was one of the biggest losses of the Chip Kelly era was their kind of choke job down the stretch to the Fresno State Bulldogs, 40-37. And this is the one where they could not stop Jake Haener from scoring late in that game. And there was
dear Lord.
UCLA outscored them in the fourth 20, but Fresno State was able to make the plays they needed to make to hang on. And they scored 14 in the fourth quarter and won. And it was just absolutely dreadfully brutal and a tough watch. And I remember UCLA had the lead late, and then me and Phil were sitting in the stands, and you just watch Fresno State dink, dink, dink right in the end zone to score on that last play. So that, and by the way, one of the players in that game was not the other Keyshawn Johnson. It was the other Josh Kelly, and he had 8 for 120 for the Bulldogs. Jake Haener limping in that game after UCLA's defense, beat him up. 39 for 53, 450 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. So just absolutely brutal game.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Mike, I'm just saying that, this game coming up, Bruins favored by 8. Why? In what world? They've lost 4 in a row to the Bulldogs over the last 20 years. The Bulldogs have a better record than them this year.
Can't.
The Bruins are 4-7 in their, in the goddamn on the season, and like what, the 3-9 in the conference, or 3-6 in the conference. Like, they can't score more than 20 points in a game. They've done that one game this season, Mike. One game. One goddamn game they scored more than 20 points. How is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay. So why are you telling me I should believe that they're going to be good against Fresno State? By the way, I am not saying that I don't think they're going to come out and play hard. I heard somebody say that they're going to quit on this game and quit on Deshaun Foster. I don't think that's true at all. Deshaun Foster has shown that this team doesn't give up on him throughout the season.
Yeah, but sorry, that's wow. Was it social media? Did you read that on social media?
No, it's just why wouldn't they give up? They just lost the SC. There's one meaningless game left. This is a game that if a team's going to phone it in, this would be it. I just personally don't believe that this team will phone it in because they haven't all year. But
exactly.
The problem is even when they don't phone it in, they still can't score more than 20 points. So how's that going to work? Fresno
True,
State,
but
28 against Colorado State, 28 against Air Force. They scored 20 against Hawaii, 33 against San Jose State, 24 against Nevada. Like, I know they're playing, Mountain West schools, but what makes you think they're going to be able to? Yeah, I don't know. I like to see them win, but I don't know how this offense is going to generate some points. It would be lovely if they did. I know it's a pretty pessimistic take. How about you, Mike? Now it's your turn.
You don't have a lot of positivity to support to support any claim that they will win, but
and by the way,
and the matchup. Oh no, not at all. But it does seem like UCLA will match up pretty well with them. They're more of a passing offense, Fresno State, which UCLA has trouble with, but it hasn't been completely horrible. I mean, if they can get at the quarterback, more than they have been able to. I mean, it has actually gotten better throughout the season. I mean, we've talked the last few weeks about how Jay Toya is just a freaking monster.
Absolutely.
Just like running through people. And then you have the Schlesinger and the Madranos doing their thing. The defense I have no problem with. It's just which offense, and it sucks that it has become a Jekyll and Hyde situation of they're either really on point or they're really bad. And not even really bad. They're efficient in getting down the field. They just can't get into the end zone.
Yeah. So when were they really on point?
The three games, even that 4-game stretch, even against the Minnesota, they showed progress with the offense.
Progress, but not really on the point. They didn't score any points. One game they scored more than freaking 20 points.
35 is pretty freaking impressive.
One game all season. That's my point, Mike. Is like even when this team was playing well for them on offense, one game they scored more than 20 points. Okay, so that means that if 20 points a game is 116th in the country. So in all but one game, the Bruins were worse than 116th, as far as that goes. And by the way, for the season, they're averaging 18.3 points per game. I mean, it's like, so that's my point, Mike. I know what you're saying. Like Jekyll and Hyde, you can say that, but
Jake,
really,
it was two games that they scored
year.
more than 20.
Oh, which one? Tell me which one they scored 21 in.
Rutgers was 35. Nebraska was 27.
Oh yeah, but didn't they get a turnover against Nebraska didn't they get a defensive touchdown against Nebraska?
Okay, if you're just talking just offense, you just said that they haven't scored 20.
I'm talking about an offense scoring points. I'm not talking about the defense scoring for them, Mike. Jesus Christ. Although I'll tell you what, I was eyeballing the scores and I didn't.
Fine, you're okay. Fine, whatever, Jake. We're both upset about different things, and we don't know how to meet in the middle.
I guess. So it was Mikey. And by the way, I am just spewed out all this negativity. I'm like, why should we expect the Bruins to beat Fresno State? Would I be surprised at all if they kicked the shit out of Fresno State? No, I wouldn't, because going back to the one positive thing I can say about this team is, number one, I buy their defense. Number two, I buy their effort. So I think if they can manage to, get a good defensive effort and not have to put up more than 20-ish points, then I think they win the game, no problem. It's just, will that happen? And just history has shown us that the Bulldogs come in here as a hungry, feisty freaking team, and all the chi of the season is going against the Bruin in that regard. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, totally.
All right. Well, anyways, Mike, I know. Do you want to predict the game or not?
Yeah, I'll predict.
Okay, predict. Predictions.
17-14 UCLA.
Oh my gosh! You're telling me I'm gonna have to sit again, watch a 17-14 game?
What do you want me to blow smoke up your ass, dude? I'm not gonna do that. I know what I've seen.
I'm gonna give a double prediction.
No. Okay, fine.
The Bruins are either going to lose this game 11-27, or they're going to win it 32-5. You heard it.
Okay.
11-27 or 32-5.
11-7.
27.
I don't know how to. Yeah, you're probably right, though. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. No, just Mike, put down the Bruins are going to win 32-5. That's what I want to say. But I like,
32-5. Okay, cool.
Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Done.
Stupid Bulldogs. I don't want to.
You're
going to the game, right?
But I can't hear you.
No. You're going to the game, yeah?
Oh, there you are. You're back. Yeah.
All right. I'm TBD. We'll see. All right, there we go. Did you send out my prediction yet?
No, not yet.
Don't send out. I don't want 32-5.
Okay.
I want. I think they're gonna. All this negativity I just spewed. I think they're gonna play hard. I think they're gonna win 25-17. No.
25-17.
No. I don't like that many touchdowns. 25-16.
25-16. Okay, cool.
That's my final answer. Obviously, I've thought so much about this stupid game. Go Bruins. All right, Mikey. That's it for this. I'm going to play some listener calls, and then I'll come back with what's wrong with you, and then we'll get you to tweet in your game, okay? So
all right, cool.
We will be right back. All right, so let's get to your calls. I want to start with a nice little message off the Slack channel from my good man, the logo man of the What's Bruin show. We owe all of our cool, swaggy looking stuff, designs to him, really. All the stuff we normally use, pretty much. And we love Dave. And he wanted to comment on the SC game. Here's what he said. Still feels like a little bit of a gut punch from the loss this weekend. Yeah, me too, Dave. There's some pretty fun rivalry things that did happen on the field, however. So, number one, there was an SC pass that went out of bounds on the UCLA side. A UCLA player caught it on the sideline and quickly took the SC ball and tried to hide it behind the bench. Well, that's good. Number two, on kickoffs, there was a lot of banter between the two sidelines. There was a weird series of the teams taking the smallest guy on the team and lifting them as high as possible into the air. Yeah, I saw that. I was wondering what that was about. I saw the tail end of that. That was weird. Number three, the SC band in the top corner of the stadium was new and different. Yeah, I liked having them up there, although they were pretty darn loud. And that was kind of annoying. This is something I noticed as well. Dave points out that there were people sitting above the tarps at the top of the Rose Bowl. This was in the north end zone. And yeah, there was a little like ribbon of people across the top of there, which is pretty weird. And for all of the noise about, I think Bolch tweeted out something like, oh, look at the stadium, 24, the game is started and was like empty. And yeah, that's because the Rose Bowl, for whatever reason, manages to make it so hard to get into the Arroyo Seco when it's a big game. When it's not a big game, obviously there's less people there, I know, but like they just like wave people through and people go where they want. They had the parking pattern when I came down into the bowl. They had a guy like individually checking each car if they had the parking pass, but then you still need to go through 3 more checkpoints after that, and it just slowed everything down so much. And then once you got down there, it took forever to get the parking in because they had the parking lines all screwed up. And God, I don't know how it was on the golf course, but I don't know. For big games, the Rose Bowl is just so inefficient with getting people down into the bowl area. And then, at the very least, the getting into the gates gotten a little bit better, but kind of a pain in the butt. And the last thing Dave says is also the ponchas that came out for the lightest drizzle were enjoyable because, yeah, we're all California sissies. Yeah, that's how it goes. But thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Sorry I missed you there, but what a crappy game. So that being said, we got a couple calls. Actually, it's funny. I thought there was a couple more, but a couple people decided to double up on their time. First being Mike from Jersey.
What's going on, guys? It's Mike over in Jersey. I have watched a lot of UCLA games where your heart breaks. I've watched them blow leads and games most of my life. That game was right up there with all of them because it was against USC. It was a season that we had a lot of struggles, but we were trying to grasp onto some sort of positivity, and getting to a bowl would have been really something, and it was just taken right from us. And I feel like the coaching staff let the kids down. I mean, third and one, and then 4th and 1. You're gonna go. They stack the box. You're gonna throw Keegan Jones, a little running back, right up the middle. I mean, Eric Bieniemy should not be the offensive coordinator next year. I'm sorry. There's no reason with the talent that they had this year, even with the offensive line problems, that they're ranked 120 something in total offense. I don't buy it. I think they have enough talent at the skill positions and have a quarterback that's competent enough to get the ball out of his hands quick. I don't think that should have been a problem. But, I mean, this sucked because the game we could have won. And for all the problems, I mean, our offense just kept putting the defense in these situations. And the game was winnable because of our defensive effort. And that's what sucks is you see these guys on the defensive side of the ball who, if we had a good offense this year, who knows what we could have done. I think our defensive coordinator is outstanding. I think we should keep him. But I got to tell you, I'm going to watch the Fresno game next week because that's just what I do. But I feel like my whole heart was just ripped out, and there's just this I don't care anymore attitude. I'm done with this chapter of UCLA football. We got to turn the page. Sucks. I saw my son cry again. So this is what it is to be a Bruin for now.
Sometimes it is hard.
What's up? Take care, fellas.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, sometimes it is hard, and we're sorry for little Mikey there. Shedding some tears, but you know what happens. Whatever. You can't take this stuff too seriously, of course, but young man don't really know that yet. But I'm kind of. It is a shame that this team, in a lot of ways, that's how it mirrors the first year of the Kelly era. Is that they could have been a lot more than what they were, and then they end up kind of disappointing in many regards. But this defense really was pretty darn good. We talked about it earlier, and there's a lot of that was something that exceeded expectations. Other than that, there really isn't anything on the team that exceeded the expectations. But we'll have to see where they go. I'm worried that they are locked into kind of a rough era if they can't get any steam coming out of this year to get some recruiting and to get some dollars. But with Foster's going to have to work a little harder at this point and see what he can do, and then we'll see what they decide to do with the offense. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's rinse and repeat. But Mike called again. I thought he did his own show, but maybe not. So here is the second voicemail.
Yo, it's Mike again. I almost forgot. I couldn't leave this out. So UCLA's defense, for them to pull out the type of game that was playing out to be, our defense played excellent. But the one thing that our defense needed to do, they didn't, was turnovers. The whole game, I was, especially as it was getting later on in the game, I was just yelling at my TV, rip the ball out, jump the passes and get a pick. And they just were not able to win the turnover battle. And I felt the two plays that UCLA, it literally went through their fingertips, their hands. Kane Medrano should have had 2 picks. There was one pass right over the middle. I mean, it went right through his hand. Like, the Kane has made these plays all year long. So it's not like I'm saying it's not like it was an impossible play for him to make. There was this one play over the middle. He could have gotten a pick. And then that touchdown pass, I mean, he jumped high enough, and I felt like if he got a paw on that ball, he would have tipped it to himself and brought it down. It was too high of a hill to climb if we weren't going to get turnovers. It just sucks. It's a really crappy way to end a year. I don't know how the heck these kids can even pull it together and play hard next week. And I tell you, if UCLA loses to Fresno, that's not good. But I did see a stat. The 2026 recruiting class right now is ranked 11th in the country. So you have to be fair to Foster. You got to let him recruit and get his guys in. That's only fair. And Chip did not do that. Deshaun is definitely recruiting and taking it seriously. But with NIL not being a factor like in most schools, you wonder just how much he can do. because recruiting is just not, recruiting alone doesn't cut it anymore. You need NIL deals. You got to pay players. You got to hit the transfer portal, and you got to recruit. And the most important thing, you got to win. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be easy right now in Westwood. So, all right, fellas, take care. I'm not calling back anymore, at least for this week. Go Bruins.
At least for this week. That's okay. As far as the defense goes, Mike, the turnovers are generally just kind of lucky, kind of bounce sort of things, like as far as like governing them. But I will say this year, UCLA had not been able to force turnovers all season until they got to the Rutgers game. And then from Rutgers to Washington, they forced 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. They had 8 turnovers in 4 games, 2 a game, and then none against SC. So was that something that was characteristic of their hot streak and how well they were playing? I would say that the defense played every bit as well against SC as they had the previous 4 games, and they just missed a couple lucky bounces, as you said, with the interceptions going through the hands and all that stuff. But certainly that's something where I thought the defense played okay in the first half of the season, and then they played very good in the second half of the season. And the biggest part of the second half of the season turnaround was the fact that they started getting tackles for loss, sacks, and turnovers. And that, and they really turned in some really good efforts here, at least, for like 3/4 of a game or whatever. Obviously, there were moments when they gave up some points in a couple of those games. But I don't really want to say anything to impugn the defense. The defense kept that game from being a blowout against SC early when the Bruins couldn't get to midfield, kept giving Trojans short fields, and the Trojans kept getting inside the 5-yard line 3 different times, came up with 9 points. That was, the defense did enough to win the game right then and there, and the offense just let them down repeatedly over and over and over and over again. And SC had to win the game on a stupid, trick play, for Christ's sakes, and just a couple moments from Jade Maava, which to me, you're saying turnovers, Mike, the biggest failure for the Bruins on Saturday, the defense for me, was the fact that they just couldn't get to Maava. If they would have tackled him one time out of those kind of scramble plays that he had, I think it would have won them the game, but they just couldn't get him down on the ground, and that's the shame of it for me. But you talked about it on your first call, the recruiting part of it. If Foster is putting a lot of energy into recruiting, can get some guys in here and can get them to play as hard as he got these guys to play this year for him, then yeah, there's still there's a place for them to go, but they got to figure out something with that offense because it's just not good enough at this point. No, but I'm so negative about this because of the dang SC loss and the way that they're finishing. But they very easily could beat Fresno State. They very easily could finish with 5 wins, and then the tagline you'll probably hear about them next year will be, oh well, they're one win short of a bowl game in Sean Foster's first year, and Eric Bieniemy's coming back with a new and improved offense. That's probably what we're going to hear generically, and that will make us feel dread and nervousness, I think, because we know how they got there and how the sausage was made, not just giving generic national storylines. So something I'm very, 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 very concerned about. Let's get to Carrie, who called in, and I always love to hear Carrie's voice. So let's see what she has to say.
Hi, what's Bruin Show? This is Carrie. Jake, thank you for the post-game wrap-up. It was a really tough loss. Well, I have thoughts on that, but I also am sorry to hear how frustrated Dark Diego is. I hope he will come back and join us here as we comment on UCLA and football and those things moving forward. Maybe he was inspired by the UCLA women's basketball team, which certainly helped me bounce back from the loss to USC. I am so happy for those gals on the women's basketball team. They didn't just beat South Carolina. They trampled them, rolled them under a car, and backed up. Yeah, it was really beautiful. So that was a good Sunday. In regards to UCLA football, I am a little nervous about ED as the offensive coordinator. It seems that teams have figured him out. and he doesn't have a response. I was very concerned about the quarterback sneak call on 4th and 1. When Ethan got that call, you could see how he was getting the call in his helmet. And when he got it, he literally did a double take to the sideline. And I'm not sure if it was Deshaun or EB that made that call. But Ethan obviously wasn't happy with that call. And it was a very bad call. That offensive line is torn up, and the center in particular, he's, not a Duke Clemens. And that quarterback sneak was doomed from the get-go. Did they use Keegan Jones? I think I might be mixing up the plays, but Keegan's not the one to use for that sort of a thing unless he's gonna dive over the scrum. So just continuing to wonder about the play calls. ED just always looks like he's a deer in headlights. Anytime the camera pans to him, he has all these sheets with potential plays on them, and he's not even really looking at them. He just looks under distress. I like him as an offensive coordinator, but I like someone else calling the plays. So, which is what Andy Reid. And the special, the punter, I'm not sure if he's injured or whatever, but Brody's been good all year except the last 2 games. I'm going to the Fresno State game. I was kind of hoping it might be a bowl eligibility game, but I'm going to have fun anyways. And I hope that we get a good class of recruits coming in that can help build this program and move us forward. The other thing, too, is had we just played a couple more cupcakes rather than LSU, that might have changed the bowl eligibility status right now. And again, that's Chip Kelly's schedule, right? So it goes to Chip Kelly. So that was, it was a hard year to start coaching. You start late, and you have one of the toughest schedules in D1 football. You've never been head coach before. So I guess things could have been a lot worse, but I sure hope they get better. All right, that's it for me, and I will be cheering on UCLA football this Saturday, and as well as all the other teams, water polo, beach volleyball, and of course, basketball. All right, thanks again for your show. Look forward to hearing it. Have a good one.
Thanks, Carrie. And FYI, when you called, half of your call, both of your, 2 parts of your call, it dropped off. Your voice is a little bit distorted, so that's why it sounds a little bit weird on this recording. But that's okay. It all worked out. And just to reemphasize your point about good old Bieniemy, everyone's favorite offensive coordinator. In his career as an offensive coordinator, and I'm kind of just winging this a little bit, but I'm fairly sure it is accurate. He has one top 25 offense under his belt in his years of coaching, other than when he was under Andy Reid, which we know he wasn't calling the plays anyway. That top 25 finish was last year with the Commanders, and that was 25 out of 32. So, his college offenses were terrible at Colorado and wasn't good this year, and we're giving him a bunch of credit for really not ever having proven a lick as to what he is able to, come up with, especially at the college level. So pretty rough, but we'll see. So with that being said, we're done with the calls. So let's bring Mike back on for What's Brewing with You.
I don't like the fucking UCLA guy. Sorry.
UCLA is so bad. 12 games, UCLA. That's how many you have to play at a high level. Not 9 games, not 10. You have to play 12 games at a high level.
The story of UCLA football was the mass proliferation of disillusionment and apathy. The huge initial burst of enthusiasm and energy had ultimately produced meager results.
All right, Mike, let's get to What's Brewing with You.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with
Mikey, what's brand new?
Yeah, not much, except my adventures in UCLA reporting. Excuse me, over the weekend. I started as I said last week, started off Friday night with the UCLA men's basketball team. They got the W. Next day, went to the Rose Bowl, saw UCLA lose to USC. And then Sunday, I was there at Pauley Pavilion watching UCLA beat USC, as the Godfather says, the original USC. And then Monday, even though I didn't have regular work, still there for the final Monday evening practice. And that was pretty cool because it's so bizarre because they have us interview Deshaun Foster outside, which isn't normal. Which isn't bad. It's normal. But the drawback is that occasionally, the UCLA Medical Center is adjacent to Spalding Field. It's literally right across from Lot 8. So occasionally there are helicopters just flying over, just interrupting the interview. I joked with the SIDs. I'm like, can we just tell the hospital, can we not have a fly zone between this time and this time?
That's funny.
And I was joking because health first, baby. So we did it in the auditorium. So that was pretty cool. He also gave as I said earlier, Sean Foster gave a shout out to the women's team in that. You can check my Twitter and my Blue Sky, baby. Blue Sky. And then we went out into the balcony to check out practice. But on Monday evenings, they only let us watch the first 2 periods, which is essentially just drills, fundamentals, all that stuff. But it was kind of cool to do all that. So, I was just freaking busy with UCLA stuff all weekend. Jake, what's brewing with you?
Just trying to get into Thanksgiving. I came off of a very, very busy couple of weeks at work, and it's wonderful. It coincided with the end of the football season, just made everything just crazy. But now that's kind of slowing down, and now we're going to have, I think, 25 people in the house for Thanksgiving on Thursday. So we're just trying to get ready for that. It's certainly the biggest. It used to, for years, it was more around the 12, 13 person, which is just fine. It's inflated a little bit the last couple
I think
of years.
that's what I'm doing this week. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just getting ready for that. And that's really what has been brewing with me. So I'll keep it short and sweet. Did we just watch a show that I liked? I'm trying to remember. Mike, I have one episode left of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I'm almost caught up.
Which
buddy.
one?
The last one.
Which one? But you told me you saw that one.
Oh, no, I lied. I thought it was a different one.
Oh, so you haven't seen Dennis Takes a Mental Health Day?
Nope, it's literally the last one to watch. So there you go.
Pretty much, if it's not the best episode ever, it is top 5 of Sunny in Philadelphia.
Okay, well,
it is. You especially will fucking love it. It is amazing.
I'm looking forward to it. That last season that just came out, I was pretty entertained with a lot of it. I just watched the one with Brian Cranston, and it was pretty, and Aaron Paul. That was pretty good. So this is pretty
gritty.
Yeah, gritty. Oh my God, it's so silly. Anywho, so that's what's going on with me. And I guess until next time, Mike, we'll come back with a recap of the season and all that stuff. I'll do my postgame on Saturday at some point. It'll be less horrible than the one I just put out, so I apologize for that. But I mean, UCLA football's 4-7 right now, maybe 5 and whatever they are. Whether 4-8, Mike, I don't know.
No,
they're 4-7.
4-7.
Might be 5-7, or might be 4-8. We'll see how that goes. So I mean, how excited can we all really be anyway? But hey, go women's basketball. We're very excited about that. Right?
Hells yeah.
All right. So until next time, guys, thank you for listening, and shoot us calls and emails if you'd like. And and by the way, What's Bruin fans, I'm super sorry for giving you a sports report from 3 years ago that I accidentally included on an email that got pushed up to the top of my email box from Leo. Everybody was confused, including me, and that was probably my most Ron Burgundy moment in the 10 years we've been doing this, and I am ashamed and embarrassed. It's been a very shameful and embarrassing couple weeks for me in some regards. So there you go. All right. So until next time, guys, love you and go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, bro, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.